Hey guys, good evening. This evening I got off of work real late, so I'm gonna have a late start on this one. But we're gonna go ahead and start by putting that intake plenum on that head and bringing it over to the block and setting it in. So we can go ahead and bolt it down, torque it down, and continue building this engine. Uh, I'm gonna go ahead and work on it tonight since I don't work tomorrow, so I can actually stay up late. So let's go ahead and get started with this one, guys. I'm gonna get hit this one in time lapse, guys. All we're doing is we're bolting it up. I will slow it down once we start torquing it down. That way I can tell you guys what the torque is and all that. So let me go ahead and position this real quick and I'll be right back with you guys. Well guys, this fuel rail, oil rail, the torque specs on this one is 20 psi, 20 foot-pounds. I don't have a torque wrench that'll go down to 20. Mine goes to 30, so I'm just going to go ahead and do them by hand. I mean, we normally, well, it goes at 20. That's a torque spec, but I just do them by hand, guys. So I'm going to go ahead and do this by hand and continue with this build. Well, guys, I got the head suspended on my cherry picker. I'm going to go ahead and lower it onto that block and kind of set it in place so I can go ahead and start installing those head bolts. Well guys, I carefully set that head on top of that block. I just had to make sure that I didn't scratch or bend or mess up that head gasket while I was doing it. So I had to keep the head up in the air. Don't let it touch the head gasket until I'm ready to drop, and just drop it down evenly straight. All right, now we can go ahead and set in our head bolts. I'm just kind of just setting them in by hand. I did oil up these head bolts. I left them in oil for a little while, and then I just kind of dried them up with a towel before I put them into the corresponding little grooves or holes or whatever. So let me go ahead and get all these in, kind of get them, set them down, not torque them, just kind of get them all the way to the bottom them out, and then I'll just come back and with a torque wrench and start go ahead and going through that torque sequence real quick. Bear with me, guys. Get those head bolts down all the way flush to the head, not torqued, but all the way down. Well guys, now that we got all the bolts bottom down, they're not torqued, they're like probably maybe 20, 25 give or take. These long ones, I have to get my push rods in place, get my rocker tube in line, and these bolts go through the rocker assembly and tighten the head at the same time. So got to get these off, get those rockers on there, and then tighten these up. So let me get stuff ready, guys, and I'll be right back. Push rods inserted into that block on top of the lifters so that I can go ahead and bring that rocker arm assembly and get it positioned. So here, these are oiled up too. I mean, they're solid lift, but I just added oil to them. They've been out of the engine for a while. moisture might have gotten to them, and I just don't want to have any issues. So kind of oil them up and wipe them down with a cloth with a rag, and they should be ready to go. All 12 are in. Let me go ahead and get these bolts off and bring that rocker arm assembly. All these bolts have a washer, all of them do. Make sure you put it on there, don't leave it out. Here goes the rocker arm assembly, guys. Make sure you set all your little push rods. There. And yeah, we still have to adjust the rockers, but we'll get that done once we get this head torqued. And my tube kind of rotated, so I got to turn it. Give me a second, guys. This tube is kind of like a hold down for all your rockers. So in order for those bolts to go through, it has to be aligned. And there's one. Once you get one, the rest should kind of fall into place. The one that's the hardest to get to, guys, is the one on the inside, because I didn't remove that engine cover, and that one's somewhat hard to get to, but we'll get it. There we go, just start them off. When you do tighten this down, make sure that the push rods are all in place. That way you don't have to go back and loosen your adjusters or your head bolts. You don't want to loosen your head bolts, but you don't have to loosen your adjusters. It'll just kind of fall into place. And I'm using a regular ratchet just to get these suckers bottomed out. Take it in step, guys. You don't want to tighten one, because that tube, some of the lifters are applying some pressure. Some of the valves are going to open as soon as you tighten this up. You don't want to hurt that tube in any way. So, I mean, get them snug, Once you get all of them snug, then you start tightening all of them together. I'm just making sure that the push rods are in place. Ah, come on. Just checking the push rods. They're all in place. They're all sitting correctly, so we're ready to continue, guys. Well guys, we're going to go ahead and start torquing down the head bolts. I use a Matco, and it's a TRC 250FK. That's the torque wrench that I use. It's been working well, so I just continue using it, guys. Let me go ahead and get ready to torque them head bolts down. First setting says to go ahead and do 150 foot-pounds of torque on all the bolts, starting at the center and going out in circles. So basically, we have to kind of come in and start on these two bolts right in the center of the engine. All right, get those to 115. That's one. That's two. We're almost done, guys, with a 115. We got like 12 more bolts to go. more to go. There's that 155. Same thing, circular, starting from the center, going out. I'm gonna do a couple and then I'm gonna switch over to time lapse, guys. I'm gonna do the rest in time lapse, guys. And from there, I gotta do 165. And that's gonna be the last one. So I'm gonna do the rest of time lapse, guys. So right now I'm doing 155 and then I go to 165. And on the 165, I start at this end, follow it down, come back, follow it down, and then come back. So let me get those done in time lapse. Now comes the last torque setting, guys. It's at 165. Let me go ahead and get that one done real quick. I'm gonna do it in time lapse. Well, guys, that was a 165. So we're done torquing down the head. Sorry about the being a little dark and all, but I got to get this one done, guys. I wanted to get it done by today, but I had to catch up at work, so work late. So now I got to work late here to finish this one up so that Shadrack can pick it up on Sunday, Monday the latest. So let me go ahead and continue with this one, guys. Well, guys, you set your engine at top dead center for cylinder 1. That means both of these are going to be loose. Well, the first 3 are going to be all loose. Those are the ones once you get top dead center on cylinder 1, you're going to adjust 1, 2, 3. You skip 4 and 5. You do 6, 7, skip 8 and 9, and you do 10, skip 11 and 12. What you do next is you rotate that crankshaft 180 degrees, set it up at top dead center again. That's going to give you top dead center on cylinder 6. So on that one, you do 4, 5, 8, 9, 11, and 12. And basically that's how you adjust all your rockers. And don't forget, it's a 2.5. The feeler gauge is 2.5. Be honest with you, I use a 2.2, and I just kind of leave it somewhat loose. I don't want it to bind, and that'll keep me from trying to pull this 2.5 out. So I use a 2.2, guys, but the book says 2.5. So The way we adjust these guys, basically loosen the lock nut, 15mm wrench, loosen it. Alright, get your feeder gauge, get it in between the rocker and the valve until it's snug. Once it is, hold the and tighten the lug nut, the lock nut. There's one. This one, too loose, guys. So we're gonna have to tighten this one up a little bit. Oh, sorry about that. Want to get it snug. That's a little too tight. There you go. I can move it barely. I mean, I can feel some grabbing. I mean, it's grabbing a little bit, but it's not locking it in place. So now lock it up. Now you got to do this one. Oh, this one's right on, guys. I don't have to mess with this one. Then we skip these two. Let me turn the camera a little bit. We did these three. We don't do these two. We go to 6. 6, it's a little loose, so loosen. That's a little too tight. There we go, it's catching, but it's not locking it. Hold the screwdriver in place, lock up the, tighten up the lock nut. Then from there, we did 1, 2, 3, skip 4, 5, did 6, we're gonna do 7. Seven's too loose. Now it's too tight. That's about right. And lock it in place. Then we skip another 2 and we do 10. And 10 we don't have to mess with. It's right on. So we already did half. We already did the cylinder 1 compression stroke, or top dead center cylinder 1. Now we're going to turn this engine 180 degrees, get the timing mark back to top dead center, which is going to be top dead center 6. And then we can do the rest. Okay, we turn the sucker 180 degrees. Now these are on tight. This one isn't. This one isn't. This one is. This one is. This one isn't. This one isn't. This one is. And the last two can be adjusted. So let's go ahead and get these done. This one, no adjustment needed, guys. On this one, yep, a little too tight. A little too tight, so loosen up this lock it up. Loosen it up a bit. They're really easy to turn. There's that. Lock them up. And voila. This one no, this one no. This one, it's right. That one, a little too loose. So let's get this one done. And then lock it up. Well guys, can't show you the last two. It's too dark in there, so, but you already saw what I did. And more or less gave you the sequence and how to adjust them. So let me go ahead and finish out the last two. Well guys, the injectors were tested. They all tested fine, guys. I mean, they said they all were working fine. I guess they just went through them, cleaned them, whatever they did to them. I mean, they did charge me, but they didn't charge me for replacing. They charged me for repairs. So, I mean, if they say the injectors are good, then they're good. What I'll do now is I'm going to set them in their proper locations. I'm going to keep them all in the same location they were before. And I'm gonna go ahead and do the back ones off the camera, and then I'll come back and do the last two. I'll record those. That way you see how I get them in there. Well, guys, I got the injectors in place. They're set in. I got the bolts already started. The ones on the inside, which are the ones for this little slider, I put them in there. The book says you're supposed to torque them at 130 inch-pounds. Since I don't have a torque wrench that'll do inch, I have no other option but to just do, set them in by hand. And I need to invest in one of those little torque wrenches, dude. I don't have one. But 130 inch-pounds shouldn't be that hard to accomplish. The only thing is, am I accurate? Well, of course not. But close enough, guys. I will invest in a little, one of the little micro torque wrenches so that I can start using it on these little inch-pound settings. We're almost done, guys. Couple of things that I got to bolt on. And then you just go ahead and start getting that radiator ready so that we can install it. And this one starts today. Well, we will attempt to start it today. No need to get ahead of ourselves, even though I wanted to start, but there's no guarantees that it is. We're human, so we all make mistakes. We're working on the last one, guys. There we go. Now all we got to do is get this little apparatus in there. Get all these harnesses in place. And we should be a lot closer to starting this sucker than we were yesterday or the day before. So let me go ahead and bolt down that little harness, and I'll be back with you guys in a bit. Well guys, that's it. We got the injectors in place. Now we can go ahead and get the valve cover set up. Well, valve cover gasket in place, and get other little things done. Clean the valve cover so we can go ahead and install it, and well, just continue from there, guys. Let me take a little break and I'll be back with you guys in a bit. Okay guys, now I can go ahead and take a break. I needed to get that valve cover, placed on top of those rockers. I don't want anything flying in there, dust, dirt, bugs. I mean, I'm going to go ahead and cover that port right there, and I'm going to go ahead and take a break. I'll come back to this one later on tonight. And well, I gotta go get some stuff done. I gotta get ready for my class on Monday. So, well guys, be back with you guys in a bit. Hey guys, sorry about that. I had misplaced my phone and I couldn't record, but the rest of the stuff was just reassembly. I do apologize. I couldn't record, and I am working on a time frame. I promised this guy I was going to turn in the truck. So I kind of had to finish. I do apologize for not recording, but I did get the hardest parts done. Bolting up all the little extras, it's pretty simple. So I hope you guys don't mind, but I mean, this video, I kind of didn't record quite a bit, but it was just reassembly. Let me go ahead and finish the sucker off and put oil and water in it, and let's see what's going to start. Hey guys, that's the first part. Sorry I didn't get it cranking, but that's the first start of the truck. Right now it's a little shaky. The injectors need to climb up. You can hear it. Sorry about that, guys. I know I didn't get the best of video this time. My phone, I left it behind. Once they brought it to me, it was a little too late. I was already almost done. But I just want to show you guys. You all saw how I put it together. And, well, there it is running. I'm going to let it run for a little while. I'm going to turn it off. And then tomorrow, I'll go ahead and take it out for a little test drive before I call Shadrack and let him know that the truck is running. Well guys, this truck got an inframe at 554 243, so I mean I'm gonna say this one had decent miles in it. They got the life out of that engine before it got inframed. Hopefully they'll get another 300 400,000. This truck has been running for a little over an hour, and truck is running fine, so I'm gonna go ahead and take it for a little test drive tomorrow and call the owner and let him know that the truck is done. So we found a couple of little issues. We found a bad brake chamber that we're going to be replacing, and we found a bad coolant reservoir cap that needs to be replaced. But all in all, I mean, the truck is running fine. I mean, it's an older box truck, but I mean, it's still going to work. So, well guys, I just wanted to show you the mileage on it and the condition of the truck. So this thing has got a few more years to go. All right guys.